It's time for Wrestling for the Culture, where we take a look inside to see what the wrestlers of color have been doing this week. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Wrestling for the Culture. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. This show is, of course, brought to you by the Wrestling Wrealm, where you can follow us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to that channel. Make sure you also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, you name it, we're there. And last but not least, like us on Facebook. Actually, not last, because you also got to follow us on Twitter and tweet us at Wrestling Wrealm. So let's get right into it. This week, we're going to start off with the WWE, starting off with Ember Moon. She joined the WWE Chief Brand Officer, Stephanie McMahon, as they hosted a Girl Up Sports for a Purpose brainstorm session with young women from the WWE Universe in LA at the Staples Center right before the Survivor Series. So I know a lot of people complain when they don't see their favorite wrestler on a show, especially a show like the Survivor Series, but Ember Moon showing that, you know what, it's more than just wrestling, as she's out doing charity work and inspiring young women. Moving on, staying with Ember Moon, the Mixed Match Challenge. Her and Braun Strowman remain undefeated in this year's Mixed Match Challenge. So they look to be on a collision course with Charlotte Flair and AJ Styles. That is, of course, if AJ Styles can compete moving forward. Moving on, Bianca Belair, the EST of NXT, remains undefeated this week, defeating Mia Yim. Two had some verbal jabs the week before. Bianca Belair letting Mia Yim know, like, look, you can be all entitled just because you hit the circuit. I'm here and I'm the best. And I've said this time and time again, she is somebody that is on my radar, and I want to see her as the next NXT Women's Champion. Moving on, the Velveteen Dream. Many say he won the weekend with his outfit, as he dressed it paying homage, or maybe he was trolling Hollywood Hogan, and his shirt saying over, as in the dream is over. Unfortunately for him, he did not get it done when he took on Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT World Championship. He just came up a tad bit short. But in the main event of NXT War Games, in a War Games match, we saw Ricochet lead his team of him, Pete Dunne, and the War Raiders to victory. As Ricochet, I'm not even going to begin to name the amount of degrees it was, but he hit one of those Ricochet-like splashes that definitely, if you did not see this match, go out of your way to see it. And make sure you check out the post show. So I did a combined Survivor Series and NXT War Games post show, and I was joined by none other than the real Dwayne Allen himself, where he, called this perhaps the greatest War Games match. So I want to know, what is your opinion? Let's move on to Survivor Series. On the pre-show, the Usos show why they are the best tag team, perhaps maybe the best tag team in history, as they were the sole survivors in a 10-man tag Raw vs. SmackDown elimination match. If you know, this was the only match SmackDown would win throughout the whole night. As we go to the main show, Nia Jax leads her team to victory, as she was the sole survivor of the Raw women's team. Now, a lot of people had a lot to say. A lot of people complaining because Nia Jax is the reason we didn't get Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey, as it was Nia who inadvertently struck Becky Lynch a little too hard, folks. But nonetheless, guess what? Vince McMahon, as Dwayne says, what morals? He said, hey, guess what? People hate her, so we're going to go with it. And Nia Jax, as no punishment for her, she's the sole survivor. And it's a matter of time when she challenges for that Raw Women's Championship. On the men's side, we saw Bobby Lashley become amongst one of the survivors in the men's 5-on-5 match, representing for Monday Night Raw. Let's move on to the indies, folks. So, right before I went on the air, I talked with Jocelyn Navarro, and she let me know that her and Tootie Lynn Ramsey wrestled to a no contest this past week at Fractured up in Ohio. Ariela Nyx, I'm telling you, if you haven't been watching her, you're missing out. She debuted new gear this week, and she scored a win over Corrine Mink to remain the Capital Wrestling Women's Champion. Now, she told me that she technically lost, but because Mink hit the ref in the midst of hitting her finisher, the match was reversed, and she's still the Capital Wrestling Women's Champion, and of course remains the answer to your prayers. And by the way, check out her new gear. I mean, kind of resembles the Wrestling Realm colors. Might have an idea who's my favorite wrestler. Unfortunately for her, she did lose to Sunny Kiss this past weekend at New Evolution Inception, but she definitely worked double duty on Saturday. Then we saw Jacob Fatu defeat KTB at Joey Janela's LA Confidential. The show also featured the Human Tornado and D'Lo Brown. Unfortunately, those two did not come up with the victory. So, moving on, Savannah Evans made history, becoming the first women's champion of face-to-face wrestling. Now she holds 4 titles. Make sure you check her out. I've been trying to tell you guys, Savannah Evans is the absolute truth. Let's move on, as this next segment is brought to you by Black Wrestling Alliance on Instagram. Make sure you are following that page. I promise you, you can get some of the best content. And if you want to keep up with the wrestlers of color, make sure you follow this page. And this section, what I do each and every week is where on the Instagram page, she presents which is all of the new champions. So these are the ones that I may not have gotten to, but I see it. And we start with Michael Tarver. You guys may remember him from Nexus. He won India's Continental Wrestling Entertainment's National Championship. We also saw Karen Bam Bam become the World of Unpredictable Women's Champion. Aaron Biggs, the new SWE Champion. And Jermaine Jubilee and Violator, also known as the Wild Jokers, become the new High Voltage Tag Team Champions. That is new, brought to you by the Black Wrestling Alliance. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you are subscribed to the Wrestling Realm on Stitcher, Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. Make sure you are following the Wrestling Realm on Twitter. And I'm telling you right now, as I record this, I'm just watching Monday Night Football. Jared Goff just threw another touchdown. And my fantasy points, I think I just took the lead because also there's a 40-yard reception to Gerald Everett. I know I just talked about football, but guess what? This is my show. I can do what I want. So Gerald Everett putting it on for the culture in the NFL. So till the next time, folks, I'm Brian H. Waters. So long, everybody.